You're in seat 23C, 38,000 feet up. And between your shoes and the ground, there is nothing. Just 7 miles of freezing empty sky. You look out the window and the wing is bending, not a little. Actually bending, flexing up and down like the plane is also slightly concerned about being a plane. And then that ancient voice in your brain asks the question every passenger has asked at least once. Why doesn't this thing just fall? Seriously, think about what you're sitting in. Hundreds of tons of metal, people, luggage, jet fuel, and all of it is being held up by air? Air so thin that if you stepped outside, you'd be unconscious in seconds. Your fear is not stupid. Your brain is looking at the situation and saying, this was not in the original human design. But here's the weird part. In 2024, there were over 40 million commercial flights. Fatal accidents? 7. That means the thing that feels like it should be the most dangerous machine you ever enter is actually one of the safest systems humans have ever built. So how does something this heavy stay up? And more importantly, if something goes wrong, why doesn't it just drop like a rock? The answer is not one thing, it's layers. Physics, redundancy, training, maintenance, failure planning, and one dark rule holding the entire aviation world together. Every rule in aviation was paid for by a disaster. I'll explain that rule at the end, because once you understand it, you'll never look at a plane the same way again. The engines are not holding you up. Layer 1, the wing does the flying. Most people imagine a plane like a helicopter. Engines push hard, plane stays up. Engines stop, plane falls. Completely wrong. A plane isn't hanging in the air, it's moving through it, and at high speed, air isn't nothing. It has mass, it has pressure, it behaves like a fluid. A plane is basically a boat, moving through the sky. The wing is shaped so that rushing air creates a pressure difference, and that difference pushes the wing up, constantly. The engines only do one job, keep the plane moving forward. The wing does the flying. That's why gliders can fly with no engine at all. Physics doesn't check if the engine is on. And that bending wing, that's not weakness, that's strength. A stiff wing would crack, wings bend like skyscrapers sway, and before a new plane carries anyone, engineers bend its wings far beyond anything real flight will ever do. Turbulence feels terrifying because your body hates unexpected drops, but to the plane, turbulence isn't a monster, it's a pothole. Uncomfortable? Yes. Dangerous? No. But now your brain asks the next question. The wing needs speed, and speed needs engines. So what if the engines stop? That's where this gets even stranger. A plane with no engines is not a falling rock, it's a glider. July 23rd, 1983, Air Canada Flight 143 is cruising high over Canada. The fuel warning goes off, one engine dies, then the other, total power loss. The nightmare scenario, 7 miles up, no power, and it did not fall, it glided. Because the wing still worked. The pilots turned that giant Boeing 767 into the world's most stressful glider and landed it in Gimli, Manitoba. One of the pilots happened to fly gliders as a hobby. That skill, the kind nobody thinks they'll ever need, helped save everyone on board. Everyone survived. And here's the part that sounds made up. That same plane was repaired, and it kept flying for years afterward. And it wasn't the only time. In 2001, Air Transat Flight 236 lost both engines over the Atlantic. At night, over open water, it glided roughly 75 miles to an island runway. Again, everyone survived. Here's the number. That should rewire your fear. From cruising altitude, with every engine dead, pilots don't have 3 seconds. They have around 20 minutes of controlled descent and a huge area to find a runway. 20 minutes. That's not falling. That's time to think, time to plan, time to pick a spot and glide to it. But it's not the cartoon in your head, where the plane drops straight down. Even in extreme failure, the aircraft stays flyable. And that's only the second layer. Because aviation does not assume things will work, it assumes things will fail. In layer 3, the plane expects failure. Your car has one brake system. If it fails, very bad day. An airliner, backups for its backups, multiple hydraulic systems, multiple power sources, 2 pilots, and either one can fly the plane alone. The design philosophy is simple. What if this breaks? Add a backup. What if the backup breaks? Add another. And if all power somehow dies, some planes deploy a ram air turbine, a tiny emergency propeller that pops out and makes power from the moving air. Yes, the backup plan is put a little windmill outside. It sounds ridiculous. It works. It has saved real flights. Then there's maintenance. Parts aren't replaced when they fail. They're replaced before they fail, on a schedule, while they still work. Because probably fine isn't good enough. Inspections before flights, between flights, full teardowns. Aviation isn't relaxed, it's paranoid, beautifully paranoid. But here's the uncomfortable truth: none of this exists because humans are naturally careful. It exists because aviation learned from disasters, which brings us back to the rule. October 30th, 1935, Boeing is showing the US Army its newest bomber, one of the most advanced aircraft ever built. It takes off, climbs, crashes. The investigation finds the plane wasn't the problem. The pilot missed one step. A control lock left engaged. The aircraft was so complex that even an expert could forget something critical. So the response wasn't be better. It was make a checklist. A simple list, step by step, every time, no matter how experienced you are. That one idea, a piece of paper, turned that too much airplane into one of the most successful aircraft in history. That idea spread through all of aviation. Every flight today runs on checklists, not because pilots are dumb, but because humans are human. And that's the pattern everywhere. Early jets had squarish windows. After cracking failures, windows became rounded. A runway disaster changed cockpit culture, so junior crew now challenge captains. Aviation has a memory. When something goes wrong, investigators recover the data, rebuild the timeline, find every cause, and then the entire industry changes. New rules, new designs, new training. A crash doesn't just become a headline, it becomes a lesson, written into every future flight, everywhere on Earth. The honest part. Let's be honest, planes can crash. But a modern crash is almost never one failure. It's a chain. Investigators picture it as slices of Swiss cheese. Every safety layer has holes, but disaster needs the holes in every layer to line up at once. That's why it's so hard to break. An engine fails. The plane keeps flying. A system fails. Another takes over. A pilot misses something. The checklist or the other pilot catches it. The system isn't safe because nothing fails. It's safe because failure is expected, planned for, practiced. Your fear sees the height. Aviation sees the layers. So next time you're in 23C, engines roaring, and that ancient voice whispers, "This is wrong," remember what you're sitting inside? A machine whose wings are built to flex, that glides if the engines stop, with backups behind backups, inspected with obsessive suspicion, flown by crews using checklists, born from real failures. It doesn't fall out of the sky, because humans spent a century making sure it wouldn't. Every accident studied, every weakness hunted, every lesson turned into a rule, sitting quietly underneath you, right now. The scariest part of your trip ends in the parking lot. The plane isn't ignoring gravity, it's beating it. With physics, engineering, training, and memory. If flying just got a little less impossible, that's what this channel is for. The things that quietly terrify us, and the machinery underneath. Subscribe, because next time, we're going after another fear that feels obvious until you understand it.